Hey, Ministry, how you doing? It's me, the 1AJ, Anthony Jordan.
And me, Nico Lero. Shout out to all my Nicoholics. It's too sweet.
Unlike your audio, because your mic's not actually on. So
My mic's not on.
We're going live. It's only now I'm like, hold on, that doesn't sound too right. But guys, yeah, we are too sweet. While he's doing the edits of that, this is the actual first visual Ministry episode. So this is we talked about it, and here we are. The rest of the guys aren't here for this one just as yet. But give it time. We'll see how that goes. But right now, you got the silver screen dudes in full format doing what they do best. He's also changed camera. I saw this depth of focus come through. He's very excited for this episode. Okay, guys, we did say we're going to be pay-per-view only, which will explain us coming back without the guys, because this is how we used to do it, the news rundown, where you have got myself, the 1AJ, and Nicolero. Mm-hmm. And boy, do we have some stuff to talk about. Double or Nothing. We also have the WWE releases and why this could possibly be, and some of the huge names that we just can't get our names around. The apparent text that went out to the guys, and Jesus Christ, this came just as I was going to bed last night. We're so happy to announce this. The new person who is All Elite. So, yeah, let's take it from the top. Let's do it in an order and chronological way.
How exciting.
Yep, here we go. Mm-hmm. Double or Nothing. Sunday, May 30th. What a pay-per-view. What a pay-per-view.
It really was. Like the previous one, people still came out negative, which I cannot get my head around, because as far as I'm concerned, AEW haven't put out a dud pay-per-view yet. Like, their pay-per-views are always solid.
Bro, don't get me wrong. I think we also had our points where we knew what was what, where we were like, okay, there were certain things. I think this was Brian Cage's debut, if I'm not mistaken, and we're all like, B-Tech Rock, like, you know, what is what? Like, no show is perfect, but, you know, like, they came out with a very, very good show. I know good old Cody. It felt like the ultimate double turn. Like, people are just not happy with that result, man. They're not happy with the result. He's the one EVP. He's the one EVP who's getting it in the head, in the neck, should I say. It's a tough one.
I get it. It didn't make sense. Like, AEW are all about, you know, promoting from within and promoting their youth. And Ogogo is one of their youth. And I can't fully understand why they've gone down this route for the sake of promoting Cody.
Do you know what it is? You know, like where we've gone through before and we're like, sometimes you don't need to get the win to get over. Like, we've spoken about this. And I think what's happening to the Elite, I'm going to call it the Elite right at the moment, because I don't want to put it just on Cody's head, but he seems to be the one who gets it the most. But let's be honest, three other members of the Elite are holding gold. So they could also get the same stabbing from that, and the other one, everyone's waiting for him to take the title. So, you know, like, they're all in there. But I think what's happening literally, I think what they're realizing as a company is that some of the stuff that they were bashing aren't able to be avoided. And I think here we are, where they're like, yeah, we push our talent, we understand. It was that this guy is way too green for a wrestling world to take over. So yeah, Cody naturally has to take the win, but he gave him a good outing. This is the way. So it's like, it's kind of like what you keep mentioning when it comes to Jungle Boy. Awesome win, by the way. Awesome win. But it's you don't necessarily have to win, but people see what it was. You know, they see who you are, they see what you're about, and that's where it goes forward. So I get it, but I don't. And this is where all of those, I think once you become them, it becomes very hard to be the guys who bent and broke the rules. It's like Triple H and Shawn. These guys were DX, where they're rebels, and then like they're now corporate. You don't stand.
I don't think All Elite ever went out to be a rebel or a DX. I think when they said we're going to do things differently and bend the rules, they meant not doing the WWE formula. Which
I'm talking more. When I say that, I'm talking their entire history has always been based on mocking anything that happened on the other side. But now that you're actually in a management role, you now see that certain things have to go the same way. I'm not saying, they're taking the WWE model. No. A business model in a wrestling environment, whether it be Impact, whether it be Ring of Honor, whether it be New Japan, there are certain things the senior guy sometimes has to go over, just because logically, how am I who's been in this game for 15 fucking years, meant to lose to a guy who's been in it for 2 months. He's a fucking awesome boxer, but what's he going to do in the ring compared to me? Ring skill is ring skill. For all you've done in the fucking MMA ring, for me to be like, hey, bro, I've been there and I'll fucking kick your ass, to be like, okay, maybe due to age and injury, but aside from that, you would fucking own me in a ring. Fact is fact. So these are the ways. But no, to me, they pulled up, man. Like there was all sorts. For me, guys, this is an hour, so we're going to spread it because we have to really talk about the other bits. The Jungle Boy victory was my highlight of the night, man.
Yeah. I have to say, I did not see it coming. You know, and the moment Christian Cage came out first, I was like, okay, they're going to do coast to coast with him, and he was the penultimate man. I was like, yeah, this is his. And I was thinking, even as I was seeing Christian and Jungle Boy go toe to toe, I was like, this is fine. Because we all know Jungle Boy's awesome, and we all know that he's 23 and can take the loss and will still be pushed. Maybe this is Christian's time. They did a doubly deuce on us, and I say fair play. And what they've done, which is clever by doing that, is that they've actually, in the long term, protected Christian. Because whoever's going up against Omega's eating a loss.
Well, this is the thing. He's got the whole Moose match and all of this. But do you know what else is the other bit? Is where we complain about, they always give it to the old guys. What about protecting the new stars? Here we go on a flippy do. Yep. They have actually given it to the younger star. So there is no winner. Even some people are like, no, but of course the excitement and the unpredictability does lean more to Christian than it does Jungle Boy. However, stick to what you want, people. So it's a very uneven balance. That's a bit awkward. Can I ask you a question just before we do go into it?
Always.
What was your view on the Inner Circle's entrance?
Oh, do you know what? When the moment I saw that, I went, Owen Hart called and he says that's not a good idea.
All right, look, I mean, there is that, but I take it back to, you go there, you had Sting, we had Taker, we've had Shawn, and yes, we've had the accident. Some people went all in on that. Again, no pun intended there, really attacking them for it. I saw it. I just felt like, when Shawn came in, and this is an iconic moment, yeah?
The Rumble entry.
Mania,
sorry.
Sting comes down, it was like that. Their one looked cool because it felt like a SWAT team, but it also looked like very Thunderbirds. You could see parts where they were bouncing, and it's like they zoomed in and they zoomed out. I was like, for something that was pre-recorded, the entrance could have been slightly edited a bit more to just look that.
Do you know what? Yes, sure, but I didn't pay attention to that. For me, it was typical rock star Chris Jericho. It's like, I'm going to make a big entrance.
Yeah, no, for that, I loved it. And I was like, they could have hired stuntmen, but then I'm like, no, because it wouldn't have, yes, it may have looked smoother, but it's not them, so it's not as cool. It's all about the experience.
It's really not as cool. And nowadays, say what you will about, kind of a stuttering descent. That's a long way down.
Bro, but this is the thing.
Long way down.
It's a huge way down. It's a freaking huge way down. And this is it. I'm like, how do you do it? Because obviously it's going to do it.
You can't just drop. Like, this is higher than the Titantron Sting used to drop from. Substantial.
No, I get it. But this is where I'm like, and we're waiting. And I was like, But it was
cool. There was a bit of that, wasn't there?
Like, we're waiting. But no, it was cool. It was when you saw
Insert Monty Python. Get on with it.
Exactly that. But no, well done. And yeah, no, I like it. The Inner Circle lives on. And yeah, it's some big stuff. Stuff.
Jungle Boy was your moment. You can take one guess what fucking my moment was. Woo!
Of course.
My God. Yeah. I'm sorry, he hasn't lost a step. He doesn't move like a 60-year-old. It's ridiculous.
I find, and I don't say this to mock the generation prior, I'm not here to knock like the Hogans and the Machos and the Warriors, but those guys who were just that bit too big, they slowed down. But I find when you look at the Takers, the Shawns, the Stings, these guys, the Hunters, and I dare say The Rock, these guys have put themselves in. It just shows the evolution of fitness and sport and maintaining your body. Because for a guy who was written off, and I don't knock any company for trying to protect a star, but for a guy who was written off, Jesus, well done, mate. Well done.
And do you know what I thought was brilliant? It wasn't just how he moved around the ring. It was his timing. It was how good his timing still is. Like, to turn that rope springboard into a scorpion death drop, that was rolling back the years. That was fucking beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Like, he hasn't lost a step.
What I realize is ring presence is ring presence. You can't deny that from a general. A ring general like Sting, you can't take it away from them. Yeah, there might be a part that age might kick in, but
Yeah.
I remember seeing Steamboat once, and I was like, this guy. I was shocked at how in shape he still was, but the way, and I think it was against Jericho actually. And I was like,
Yeah. I know the one you made.
Yeah, like, man, you still got it.
Yeah, literally.
And that's the same for Sting. Like,
Literally.
you still got it, my friend. So yeah.
I don't know how much longer he's got in him, and I know this is so counterproductive to what we've just been talking about in the AEW business model, but the 9-year-old child in me who used to sit up on Friday nights watching Nitro would love to see the Stinger hold the title one more time. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, but I would love it.
I laugh because I think we could go back on record. There was a point of view where like, no one said we want to see Sting hold a title. It's just cool to see him back in the ring.
Yeah.
It's weird what nostalgia does to you. I'm being assured.
It makes you double down. It makes you forego your principles. Like,
bro, I remember
it's not for the good of the business to put the title on Sting. It's just not. It sends the wrong message out. But the nostalgia act, the fucking 9-year-old in me, God, I would love to see him hold gold and retire then.
But do you know, let's be honest, yeah. We say this, but okay, Double or Nothing is one of their bigger pay-per-views, whichever one they want to call their main pay-per-view. I'm not too sure, but I do believe it's this one.
It's Double or Nothing, 100%.
Yeah. So could you imagine next year's Double or Nothing, yeah? You put it out to the casuals, the old school lost wrestling fans. Sting versus Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, whichever way you want to play it, right? For the title.
God.
If he loses, it's his final match. It attracts numbers. So yes, sometimes it goes against the grain, but like you know,
and he will need to lose, sadly, if that's the stipulation.
No, it would be the bow out. It would be the bow out. That would be the bow in. You know, but
what would be so poetic? It'll be a bow out on his terms,
of course,
which he deserves, man. Like, Sting really is one of the best ever. Like, he's not brought up in the conversation often enough.
Do you know one thing we have to always sit back and acknowledge, right? And about this, and you know, because some people are, WWE fucked him. All right, you can play that again. No. Look, listen to what I'm coming out with. They had guys like Daniel Bryan sitting on the shelf. They had guys like Edge sitting on the shelf. Page is still sitting on the shelf as far as I'm concerned. There's a certain years of time span that I think they permit, and Sting hadn't done it. And I don't blame him. Like, again, when you've got those guys are much younger, they've got more time to be, okay, I can wait. He couldn't. So it is that thing. So yeah, and this is the way if he has, you know.
But they did fuck it. He should have beaten Triple H. That will forever be a negative mark on their history. Among many.
You watch it, and you just have to take it down to exactly what it is. There is no way in what would be the final match of the Monday Night Wars, Vince McMahon, and I even dare I say go the other way. Had it been Bischoff in charge and WCW had won, there is no way they take the icon from the other company and give him a victory on their main stage. I remember at first I was like, Sting's gonna win, and then as the entrances were going on, I was like, hold on, am I fucking stupid or what? Like, that was my personal opinion. You can feel differently, but just that's right. It's the final one up.
It makes the world of sense what you're saying. That there's not someone with an informed opinion on wrestling couldn't disagree with you. They just couldn't. Do I like that it played out that way? No. Do I get that Vince McMahon is an egomaniac and he will not miss a beat to say, I won the Monday Night War? It's just another occasion to do it. He basically, you know the little arrow you get, like when you're texting? He just went, DX, better, NWO. That was the message. Which I take exception to, just FYI. But
what I do, irrelevant of victory in that match, it was that iconic moment of some of the biggest names of that era all in the ring at the same time at the end, and it was acknowledgement. That's what I like. There wasn't like DX just completely trampled the WCW. No. Everyone just saw each other.
You can't do that to the NWO, despite their best efforts of trying.
It couldn't happen. But do you get, obviously, but again, if you were there, it was just that acknowledgement, you know, they were one of that's what I loved about it. Like,
yeah.
I didn't have
the moment was beautiful. The moment was beautiful.
Yeah, the result was that. Do you know what would have been better? Yeah, is that if you had built him up and gone on to a stage where he could have crushed the Zigglers or what have you. By the time he gets to the main stage, you know it was going to go wrong, but at least he's got some W's under his belt. Even if he had him,
Couldn't
bro,
introduce the Stinger as a mid-carder.
Bro, okay, he could have taken out anyone. But what I'm saying is, again, remember, some of these stuff happen because it's always the young gun who's trying to shut up the older. Like fucking Ziggler at the spear. Like,
no. Here's a question for you. To play on to this. We're going on a quick tangent here, but I like this NWO DX thing we're on about here. Sean joined the NWO after this, didn't he?
Before.
See, here's what you should have done. You should have had Stinger come out and fuck Sean up while in NWO colours, and then that gives Triple H and Stinger
their timings are completely off. Remember, Sean was NWO by the time that Kev was still wrestling. Remember the Prawn Quads? It was like there was years apart.
I know.
And I'm talking at least 5.
I'm just saying that was the way to do it. I'm not saying it's possible. I'm just saying that would have made for some good storytelling.
It's weird. We do have this two sides of the coin because there were so many things I remember. I was like, hold on. Triple H has always had Sean back in these past few Manias because he'd always had Brock. And I was the angle of that death drop, that death lock. And I was like, Sean could interfere. Next minute, pull back, switch. It's nuts. For me, there was just the wild kid, the result. You're asking me to choose my left arm or my right arm. It was very hard to pick a winner on that night.
The right arm's thing and the right arm wins. It's not even a fucking toss-up for me.
To be fair, but it's like you're asking me to give up a limb. Like, you know, if I, as my dear old granddad used to say, if I had 2 hearts, I would support 2 teams. And you know, yeah, that's the one.
Who was his second team, by the way? Real.
No, it's the weirdest thing. You will never hear it from a Tottenham.
Don't tell me Arsenal.
It was Arsenal. He was an Arsenal. He's no other North Londoner, North London team supporter could ever do that. Like, this is, guys, this is like, if you were to be NXT or Dynamite, you can only be one or the other.
Right on.
Yeah, somehow they made it happen. Thank you very much to Katie's watching. Hey, how you doing? I just saw a light come through. I was like, hey, all kinds of stuff. But it was a tough one. But what it was, he's always said he's dad. So my great grandfather reminded him of Arsene Wenger. He was a really light skinned guy and what have you. I think his dad was half Scottish or something like that, and it like frame wise. So he always had a soft spot for Wenger. He liked the style of the one thing no one could ever deny. The style of football Arsenal played back then was all kinds of awesome under Wenger. So it's like, if I could, but
early days, most definitely,
bro. But again, he always said it like it was hard. But if it ever came down to a derby, he was definitely a Spurs man. But it's like, oh, well done. It doesn't bother me. So.
Man, there's only one other person I've ever met who could fall into that very, very niche category of people. And it was a diving instructor who I worked with temporarily out in Thailand. Didn't like the guy much, and it was mostly because of this. He proclaimed to be this kind of big football messiah knowledge god. And he had this credit to him. He had a shirt custom made, and it was his actual diving suit. But it was half of it Liverpool, half of it Man U. And I was like, hey, that is a black mark on football, what you're doing here. What's next? You're going to have half Real Madrid, half Barcelona? It's quite a big rivalry. And he's like, one part of my heart belongs to Man U, the other heart Liverpool. I'm like, Daddy didn't hug you enough. You're very confused.
He's like, they're both red. I like it. It's cool. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Even Man U Arsenal would have been more appropriate than. I mean, Liverpool Arsenal's the big one in the UK. Like, there's nothing bigger than that.
Yeah.
Not in the UK, at least. I mean, in football for sure, but not in the UK.
It's mad. That is an awkward one. But hey, we digress. Apologies to those who don't know football. But yeah, so no, in general.
Soccer.
There you go. For Double or Nothing, it was solid match. Solid matches, should I say? Good results. It was good. It was overall good.
We're not going to go through it move by move, are we? But we could touch
people
on the
result.
Who should have won. Even despite the Stadium Stampede match, I still maintain the Pinnacle should have won that, but that's just me.
Do you know what it was, bro? You can't break up the Inner Circle just yet. The feud has just started. Who does the Pinnacle then feud with? That was my main thing. Hence why I saw it. And while we're on the topic, yes, I won. Anyway. But the other side, I was very, very happy. We cannot leave this out. Congratulations to everyone's favorite dentist, Dr. Britt Barker, DMD. That was,
Baker, not Barker.
Why did I say Barker? Sorry, that's when you're all over the place. But yeah. We'll do that one again. But hey, it's live. We can't do shit. But no. Our previous champ, Hiki Rashida, definite awesome champ. But
she held it down. She held it down.
We're talking a year, no?
Just over. 370 days.
There we go. So well done. But there are sometimes a run can be awesome, and there are sometimes it's awesome, but you like, for instance, if Roman, if they keep the same steam, 370 can be awesome. Kenny could potentially be awesome. There are times when, because they don't give you enough of a storyline, you're like, no, you're defending again. And that way, the book, and the way Britt has been, I think we're up for a wild ride. So that should be all kinds of awesome. Yeah.
Britt, and do you know, just while we're on the topic of Britt Baker, before we move on to the big WWE problem, there's one thing that's always kind of nagged me. You remember that epic match between her and Thunder Rosa?
Mm-hmm.
Thunder Rosa won that match. How did Britt Baker find herself in the #1 contender spot? I appreciate now she's won and Thunder Rosa's knocking on the door. Makes the world of sense. And I don't have any issue with Britt Baker being the champion. I think she's, along with MJF, the best heel in that company. So, love her. Love DMD. But there's just this thing in the back of my mind that's going, should you have been there? Despite how awesome you are and despite how well this has been built, should you have been there?
My question is, this is where you'd have to check the win-loss record on their scoreboard. And if it doesn't equate, once again, why I say the scoreboard in wrestling doesn't work. But hey, that's enough.
It works when you need it to work to help with the storyline. It gives you something extra to reinforce a storyline.
You kind of see, like, okay, he's climbing the ladder, but,
it just fucking treat with Hangman Page, I tell you that. Woo!
Bro, it's one of those. But on the flip side, it's like it just takes a rumble or a ladder match to just change it. So,
or a John Moxley. Ask MJF.
There you are. So hey, there we are. So congratulations to AEW and to all the winners, especially Anthony, who's taken another point, especially after WWE Backlash failure. But you know what? While we're on AEW, shall we touch on it? Because I think we can go bigger. There's not much we can really add to it up. Or is it a good closer?
Nah, do it now.
Okay, guys, in case you haven't missed it, close your eyes, close your ears, because here it is. El Idolo! Andrade. And that is not fake. For anyone who thinks, oh, that's a fan-made thing that you might have seen all over the place. What do you say about this?
Yeah, he was there.
What do you say about this? The man is there. He came out during Vicky Guerrero's segment. Oh, of course, also meant to mention Mark Henry, who joined. I haven't seen AEW, but I saw that and I lost my shit. Like, one of the best in-ring generals is in a company that's going to allow him to be him. There is no way you can crap on this moment. Man. There is no way.
From my understanding, he's going to be one of the lead commentators on Rampage. But Tony Schiavone also asked him, do you still have anything left in the tank? And he was like, I got a lot to give still. So we are going to see Mark Henry wrestle again.
I'm going to put something out there. I can't remember who it was, but there is someone on AEW. No. Here's something. It's going to tie in, actually. So but when I talked about ring generals, I was talking about Andrade. I am going to actually touch something later on with Mark Henry. We will touch on this later on. And I think it may be something big. But yeah, no, Andrade, a ring general with the freedom to do what he wants. And he's in the prime of his thing. At first, I thought he was signed to Mexico because I know he's challenging Kenny. When I saw that picture today,
he's signed to Mexico.
But
he's doing multiple
this.
promotions, or he had a limited time deal with them, but he was definitely there. I watched him.
I know he's watching. I know he's got the match against. But that was from this. That picture, the All Elite picture, came from the actual AEW Twitter page. So yeah. So there's I don't know how these contracts work. The forbidden door is the forbidden door as it is at the
It's
moment.
a wonderful thing.
It's hard to keep track of, but it's all kinds of awesome. It is all kinds of awesome.
It's what the fans have always wanted. It just is.
It is. You know, it's when you can do dream matches. You can visualize a dream match, and they can happen out of nowhere. You know, what if X met Y?
Just get Kazuchika Okada on AEW, please.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Drew McIntyre has other words to say to that.
Drew can keep dreaming because that deal ain't happening unless Drew wants to go all elite.
I'm just saying, leave Drew. Like, don't crush Drew's dreams. I'm not going anywhere else. I'm just saying, what's good is good. What will come will come. We will see. Right. Okay, guys. The big one. So
Literally.
Earlier in the week, those who all talent of WWE would have received this text message, according to PW Insider. Due to budget cuts, the following talent were released today: Braun Strowman, Lana, Buddy Murphy, Santana Garrett, Ruby Riott, and Aleister Black. John Laurinaitis. Short and to the point, it's very much future endeavors, as it always is with WWE.
Class act there, Johnny boy. Class act. Appreciate may not have been necessarily his desire to do that. He's the messenger. Delivery is important. Just say.
I mean, put it this way, it's one of those that you can say, "Hey guys, wanted to let you know, yeah, you could be a bit more formal." At least the talent got a phone call. I just hope they weren't like on their way to production and got that text message. Like, turn around, that would have been fucking cold. But it's weird. This is all kinds of weird. I'll do it in the order. There is no exact order. So
there's the big one.
There is the big one, but that's the one that you have to talk about after the last, I suppose. So with the highest respect, we'll go in this order.
Okay, wait.
Okay.
Drop it down. Before anything is continued here, I'd like to have a little bit of a rant, if that's all right. I'd like to offer, because we're obviously going to regurgitate the soundbite that everyone is saying, because it's a very valid one as to the possible reason of why. Which I think we both agree with, right? We'll get to that. There is something at play here. I'm going to try and give you a breakdown like I did of why NXT is the biggest problem in WWE. I'm going to do my best to break this down. There is a system at play in WWE which has failed its talent. And you cannot blame the talent here. You can't.
No.
You can go back for the last 4 years. There was a point in 2020, I think around March time, where WWE had 300 wrestlers on their books. 300. And yes, the common malicious soundbite is that WWE don't know what to do with their talent. For sure. But it got to a stage in the last few years where they didn't even know how to push 1 or 2 people. You know, even Roman Reigns. Oh, hell, Roman Reigns, you are my tribal chief. I love you, Roman. But even Roman Reigns, after possibly the most obnoxious, unsavory babyface push I've ever seen of any wrestler. I'm talking this supersedes Super Cena. Seriously. The hate with which this push was greeted. The fans forced WWE's hand into the tribal chief. Because Roman is a star. Some people have just got it. You know what I mean? Some people have just got that special je ne sais quoi. John Terry, great footballer. Thierry Henry, panache, superstar. You know, they don't have John Terry on Monday Night Football. They've got soir cool, oui, c'est très bien, talking Thierry Henry, you know. The guy's mustard. Some people have just got that it factor. The Rock had that it factor. Shawn had that it factor. Rey Mysterio, Great fucking wrestler. Doesn't have what The Rock and Shawn have. And he's my fave of all time, so I'm putting that as a disclaimer. Roman has that je ne sais quoi. He's just got it. You know that Roman is going to be the next guy to go into Hollywood. I mean, shit, he was already in the Fast and the Furious, but there's a career waiting for him there, right? So even their top guy, we had to go through 5 years of utter bollocks to get to where we are now. There is a system at play in WWE which doesn't know what to do with its stars. It's go back to 2017, the big guy who we're going to talk about, Braun. He was over as fuck. Get these hands was a major thing. I'm not done with you yet was a major thing. The moment those words left his mouth, it was a crowd popper. But what have we had? Braun should have been on the same level as Roman. And he is literally in the biggest wet dream mold of Vinnie Mac, a WWE guy through and through. And if you remember him right at the beginning, he wasn't kind of this slow, lumbering plod of a man. He was actually highly athletic. Look at Aleister Black in NXT. Highly athletic. We both say that match between him and The Dream is one of the best matches we've seen in God knows how many years. You know, that we've had Phoenix and Omega since then, but that match
no.
That you and
With
me
the NXT stand-up match,
that's the one you watch, right? None of these guys were given a chance when they go to the main roster. Even Daniel Bryan was left sitting on the shelf for too long. And Daniel Bryan never was used to the best of his abilities, despite how fucking good he is. So when I hear that they're about to go back on the road and every single wrestler has been called back to the performance center to shape up. First off, great way to motivate your team who have been with you through a pandemic, you soulless motherfuckers. Maybe call your creative team into a writer's room and make sure Vince McMahon isn't there. Because that man belongs in an old age pensioner's house at this point. There is no place in the world for a man who has got talent falling out of his ears. Literally, so much talent. He's the talent that he has under his banner is like the amount of gold Scrooge McDuck has in his vault. It's golden age of talent. And Roman said it perfectly. Back in the day, a dropkick was a finishing move. We have to work to a much higher standard now. I will go out on a limb here and say the wrestlers today are of a higher talent than any of yesteryear. Because you're bringing guys in from all sorts of different walks of life. MMA guys like Riddle. You're bringing in boxers like a Go-Go in AEW. You've got giants. You've got little guys. You've got technicians. You've got everything. Every single corner of wrestling is covered. And you don't even know how to push your top guy. The talent isn't the problem. You've got Samoa Joe. And granted, he had injuries, but a bona fide bad man. One of the few men who feuded with Brock and you actually thought he could fuck Brock up. And all he's leaving with is a few US title runs. It's a shambles. It's a disgrace how these guys have been treated. I'll leave it there. And the problem is from the top.
The biggest problem that I think with some of these releases is what WWE done was I could be wrong. AEW came out and they saw certain people go there, Moxley being one of them, and they began to talent hoard. They began to sign people. Going back to what you said, that magic 300 number, like they had an entire army of people and they didn't know what to do. And there is this sad thing. It's like Vince wanted to ban the Styles Clash. He didn't even know what the fucking Styles Clash was. I do apologize. This is very early and it's swearing, but hey, this is what we do, guys. There comes a point that he's aware of the names and he doesn't know what to do. I agree with you that there should be a talent meeting without Vince in there, or it needs people strong enough to be able to do it. Because what's happened is, and you can feel where the turnaround happened. Because as much as we will say people like Roman would get echoes of boos, but the kids forever cheered him. So they understood the dynamic of how to trap the kids, and it is what it is, and that's what kept Roman as big as he is.
Of course,
because it wouldn't have been us, because we would have the sales would have plummeted. He would have been down. Like, it is what it is. I've always loved Roman. When I say that, when I say us, I'm talking just age demographic. Like, the fans just didn't want to know it. They believed they were too smart to know what could happen to Roman. I always knew the heel turn is what exactly was needed. But hey, I said Cena needed to do it. He didn't do it. He's awesome, but we missed the doctor of thugonomics.
Big time.
What happens is that WWE started to bring in Hollywood writers, and I'm not knocking Freddie Prinze Jr. because he actually was a huge wrestling fan coming in as a Hollywood star.
Freddie's a solid writer. I've seen some of Freddie. You can actually, this is a great point you make, AJ. Freddie has published on his Twitter feed, I think they're pinned to the top. He's published a lot of the stories that he pitched that never got accepted. They're damn good. Like, they're really good.
You look at one of the ones, do we throw the images up? Do we leave it? Aleister Black. Like, if you listen to the interview and the storyline that he had mapped out for himself is absolutely awesome. And it sounds like Vince was high on him. But it's like,
Vince, I don't get it. I don't know how to push this guy. What? What?
It's weird because there is that story, but then if you listen to the interviews, it was like he requested to go to NXT. Vince wanted to give him the US title, but was like he wants to give it to him in front of a crowd. So there's all these positives, but
everything wanted to give it to him in front of a crowd. But pre-pandemic, this man was kept in a dark room saying, "I'm going to fight," for 1 year, 1 calendar year. He was kept in a dark room. I know his second name is Black, but come on. Aleister Black, one of the most bona fide bad men on the planet, a guy who has trained with Stefan Struve of the UFC, a legitimate fighter, one of the most gifted in-ring technicians of the modern age, has been put in a dark room? Come on. There is no defending that.
You know what's missing? And this is where I say it takes strong people in the ilk of your Rocks, your Austins, your Jerichos, right? Who have enough clout, even your Cenas. But, every man is an independent contractor. Yeah?
Which in itself, let's not even get into that.
It's weird, but what I'm getting at is each person protects their asset as opposed to the business. They know what they want to do for the business, but you can hear a story of where Cena's buried people. You can hear stories where Sean
has buried people.
The Click has notorious, exactly. We're talking like legitimate golden shovels.
He'll tell you.
Like each man will have their thing, and each man's got their story. I'm not here to, even down to Cody right now. You're hearing like he fucking buried a go-go. Like it's going to be a tale as old as time. Flair's notorious for it. Everyone's got that. If you're at the top, you're going to get that element of it.
Of course.
But what's coming out now to me is there needs to be someone strong enough to say to Vince, "What about?" And this is the sad reason why Paul Heyman always gets fucking fired and rehired. They know he can turn shit around, as you can see on SmackDown, as you can see by Roman Reigns. And I'm not talking just standing there as the manager. I'm talking about the writing behind it. WWE need a solid fucking lower and mid card. Like it's just so top heavy at the moment. It's ridiculous. Like I have never seen a company that focused on the top that it does. You forget. Like, do you think I ever forgot Kurt Hennig was a fucking IC champ when Mr. Perfect was champ? Brett and Sean at the IC level was all kinds of awesome. But right now you're like, oh yeah, shit, Big E's not. Look, do you see? I've just made the mistake. Apollo's freaking champ, but you're there. It needs that solid build around it, and dare I say, maybe even remove the branding, because now you're trying to
100%. But this goes back to the point I made about NXT. Why it's the biggest problem in WWE.
NXT's bad.
When you've got these guys who are built so well, and I know we represent a tiny minutia in the grand scheme of things of people who watch all the wrestling shows, but there is a large conglomerate of people, just look at the TV ratings, who look at NXT and follow these guys week in, week out. And now when you've got guys like Aleister Black, like Keith Lee, like Damian Priest, who are at the top of their game. I know Damian Priest never held the top title, but he was the top guy, right? You, by the laws of fucking law, you can't push top guys onto a mid card. So
it's like asking Goldberg, guys.
They're at the top.
It's like
and
asking Goldberg to challenge.
Diminishing returns. When everyone's at the top, nobody's at the top.
And this is the thing, like, you can fight for positions. I'll use it again. Jericho was perfect as a guy to float between titles. He could be IC when you need it. Definitely up there on the thing. Freaking Kurt Angle went back for the US title at one point, and you're like, what, Kurt? But it worked. Benoit, Guerrero. I know Benoit's the forbidden name. Forget forbidden doors.
It's a great example, though.
But do you get what I'm saying? These guys mix between the two. Like, 1 minute they're feuding for the title, next minute they're helping to elevate another guy. We don't have that anymore. Like, right now, you've got a few, like, legitimately, I know people will be like, what? The only person who's legitimately doing it, in my eyes, Sheamus. Like, Sheamus is holding the IC title, but he's there. Now, if we had a bit more of that, you've got guys elevating and all these feuds in between that they're fucking with the lower card, bringing it back up. Like, do you know there's awesome matches? Like, if it wasn't for Ali posting it on his Insta, I wouldn't know. Ali versus Jeff Hardy was on freaking main event.
Main event, I saw it.
Like, and they're putting out matches. So why are we not seeing this on the main card instead of seeing another departed Lana and Naomi versus Shayna and Nia for the 500th time?
But here's the thing. You've just talked about main event. Here's where the major difference. I think you've just hit the nail on the head perfectly here, maybe without even realizing it. Maybe you haven't. Fair play to you. But here's the thing where WWE differs from AEW and why AEW is doing it right. Yeah. On an AEW show, they do not miss a beat to talk about their other shows as well. Raw will talk about SmackDown. SmackDown will talk about Raw. You'll get the odd bit of promo here and there. AEW, prior to El Idolo's arrival this week, did a whole segment with Mark frickin' Henry pushing AEW Rampage. Earlier in the show, they're pushing AEW Dark. They're talking about Elevation. And vice versa on all of those shows, they then talk about Dynamite. There is a synergy between all of the shows, right? And they're not... We know as an audience that Elevation is exactly that. It's, you know, it's their cop-off of NXT. It's their developmental, essentially. And, you know, I'll put my hand up and say I have not watched as much Elevation as I should, but all the brands are self-aware of each other. Are aware of each other. WWE... I can't remember the last time, if ever, I watched a Raw and they talked about main event.
Bro, do you know the last time?
I do not know it exists.
Do you know the last time all of that happened? When we had Heat and Velocity. And I would go back to Heat even more than Velocity when it used to be prior to a pay-per-view, when it just became a new show and people were like, oh, if you missed it, this is what happened. And what I will say, and people may disagree, you need your top talent to flirt with it, or your mid-card talent to flirt with it. Because back in the day, Heat would have had a Triple H match versus a random...
It was a great match.
Bro, my Triple H Hardcore Holly is one of my favorite matches.
It's an all-timer. It's an all-timer.
It's actually really weird, but it's one of my favorites. But but these are the things. It's like you need certain things. The Undertaker was there. The Rock was there. Just to even cut a promo to make people go, shit, like Rock was there. Like, essentially, when NXT first started, you had your Kofis, you had your Cesaros going down. Like, not seeing it, but Cesaro, Sami Zayn, and okay, they're both SmackDown now.
Horsewomen.
Yeah, but they were established there. These are guys who were actually on the main, who would go to NXT. Natalya was having matches down there, and it helped not only train your up and comers, but it's there. But now NXT's become the challenger to Dynamite, the one who gets it. That's where the problem lies. So it's like, you can be, if you want to be a third brand, you can be the third brand that we like, but don't be developmental to then be that and then have to reintroduce. Because if Roman moves from Raw to SmackDown, this is what I'm saying. I agree with you. If Roman moves from Raw to SmackDown, he doesn't instantly become IC challenger or US title. He's still the fucking big dog. And that's the way you need to respect it. It's like, oh shit, Q's just been transferred. He's not moved from the minors to the majors. He's just moved around.
Exactly. Here's the big irony with everything that they do. NXT is presented to us in words, not as in actual spectacle, but in words as developmental, which is also why it never gets mentioned on the main roster, right? As a product, NXT is not in terms of the storytelling. I still give that to SmackDown because they've got the big dog and all of that tribal crazy shit that he does as the storyline goes. But in terms of actual match after match after match after match, just being solid gold, it's NXT. Within the WWE banner, it's NXT.
And what does it have? It has people who understands the writing. Because as far as I know, and I could be completely wrong, Vince has zero to little in. Like Vince is always overseeing, but he doesn't touch NXT. And I'm not knocking him, but there comes a point where there's a product where you can see that Paul Heyman has frustrations, where SmackDown could be just slightly off, and you can see that there is no one in there to challenge. When anyone is unchallenged, yeah, some people hate the guy. I used to say, I know you have your reservations of what the Attitude Era was to you. I didn't hate the Attitude Era, but I had my problems with the Attitude Era during the Attitude Era, and I will never take them back. I was like one too many chair shots. I was a kid who grew up on Brett and Shawn. I know what a technical wrestler looks like. Yeah. Perfect. You know, I know what I appreciated. But I will never dislike or have an argument with what I had to do, because what we saw during the Attitude Era, because it put people over either as a heel or as a face. But I always say Vince McMahon needed Vince Russo. Now, some people were like, Vince Russo was absolute shit. Vince needed Vince. You can interchange it. Let me tell you why. Those stories, as crazy as they are, like now you can be like, they're disgusting, but they work for the time. Vince Russo left, you can see where things started to go down. Vince Russo joined WCW because no one's keeping anyone else in check. It's all over the place. And that's when you give any person sole control over it and no one to challenge you. Be it Paul Heyman.
No, man. I see where you're coming from, but Russo was the death nail in WCW.
Exactly, because he was unchallenged. He was seen as that all-time writer. This is what I'm saying. Whichever way you want to look at it, I'm saying when unchallenged, and guys, comment below. Because I know Russo is one of the most hated people. I listen to Cornette's podcast. I tend to lean with Cornette more. I know he's another one that we shouldn't really mention, but hey, It is what it is. But what I'm getting at is people who understand the business. If you have two heads, anyone who's a key booker, and they can, and it's just, I have veto over every script, you're going to see the weakness. And that's what's happening. And that's why there's no building of a mid card. There's no one who cares. It's like, we need to get this guy over. We need to get this guy over. And it's just there. And Raw is
Raw is Groundhog's Day at the moment. It's the same match.
This is what I was going to say. Is that I may not have seen Raw for about 6 months, but each time I check in, I'm like, it's the same thing. And then you had something that was freaking gold, like the Hurt Business, and you've destroyed it within 5 minutes. Like, What the hell are you doing?
And Cedric Alexander, this is why, by the way, I've decided, just making this declaration now live on camera for everyone to hear. And people always say this, I'm done. It's like, no, with Raw, I am done. I will continue to watch. Big shout out to Simon Miller at What Culture with his Ups and Downs show. I'll continue to watch What Culture's Raw review show. And until I see Simon Miller, actually, because I tend to agree with his point of view, so it's just a personal thing. But until I hear him actually say, you know what, this Raw's worth watching, Raw's not getting my time. Not even the highlights. It's not getting a moment of my time. Because I know that after I'll watch Hell in a Cell, of course, as a pay-per-view. But Monday programming, you've lost me. Done.
You'd be surprised. Obviously, I'm on the Ministry Insta a lot more than you are, but you'd be surprised that just following a few pages, you can find out exactly what's happening. And I'm not knocking Raw when I say that, but I can talk this product right now without having watched Raw since Mania. Like
Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander's entrances were longer than their match this week. Sorry. Out. That's the fucking Hurt Business you've just screwed over there. Out. Yeah. Done.
Yeah.
Done.
And that's that. And again, here we go. We got Ali. Okay, Retribution's over. What have you? Why are they still T-Bar and Mace? And I'm not hating on them. Like they're too
Million Vanilli.
We could go that way as well, but that's the sad thing. And all right, let's now allude to the other names. Like Aleister Black had an awesome build, right, of characters. And if you listen to it, the feuds he was going to go for, he was going to attack, he was going to kidnap Dominic and Aaliyah, hit Ray because he felt like Ray abandoned him, go for Kevin Owens, then move on to Seth. Then move on to Buddy Murphy, another freaking awesome talent. To see those two on the main roster having a feud would have been everything you could ever ask for.
It would have been amazing.
bro, they had it already. Like, go back and see the matches. These two know how to put on. Right? It's
Listen,
all kind of awesome.
We've got 10 minutes left. Should we just go through
Yeah.
these wrestlers one by one and maybe speculate? And let's have some fun. Let's cast where we would like to see them and cast the dream match.
Cool.
Shoot.
All right. Cool. Well, we'll go from the. I say this with respect.
It is what it is, bro.
Well, let's go with this one. Lana, guaranteed. CJ will be next to Miro. She always declared that she missed having her husband near her on the road. Yeah, that's a surefire. She's got to be there. Honestly, if you're going to ask me what's the Lana feud, Vicky Guerrero, because I see her back in the management spot more than the in-ring spot.
I don't think I can do much better than that, because all credit to CJ. She's come a long way. Like, she's really put in a lot of work. She's never going to be a Sasha or a Bailey or.
I wouldn't say never, but she's got a long way to go.
She's not there yet. Then you're right. You're right. Never say never. But at the moment, you couldn't present her. You couldn't put her in a match against Shida. Just no.
No.
But
So all I say to anyone who thinks she can never be anywhere, look at Trish the manager compared to Trish the almighty superstar that we all love. Like, that was a climb.
Team Lita.
But Lita was Miss Congeniality in ECW, this, that, and the other. Trish was a manager, fitness model manager into the superstar that she is. That's what I'm saying in that comparison. Santana Garrett. Sadly, WWE just didn't give us enough of this amazing talent who's done tons on the indies. I believe either Ring of Honor, maybe Impact. She would do awesome on AEW, but I reckon she might probably be more of an Impact star just because I don't know if AEW would put that investment in her just yet.
Yes, I think I'm with you on that again, because here's the thing. This isn't down to her lack of talent. That's not the case. But, she needs to kind of do what Matt Cardona's doing. Build up her stock again. She needs to go back to basics, back to being an indie darling. AEW is not an indie show. I know people want to call it an indie. It's not a fucking indie show, all right? No way. Like, she needs to go. AEW is about as indie as WCW was. It's
Have you seen Cody's entrance? That's too much pyro for indie.
Nothing indie about that. I think go and, start a feud with someone like Tennille Dashwood on Impact. I think that would do her a world of good. And build her stock up again. And then maybe in a year or so, then make the jump to AEW and bolster the what seems to be ever-growing women's division there, which they could use talent like hers, but she needs to build her stock again. Andrade El Idolo arrives on AEW. It's like, Santana Garrett arrives on AEW. Much love to her. I don't think she gets the crowd pop.
Bro, like, Eva Lise is a huge star. It didn't make that impact when she turned up.
She needs to build her stock again. So once again, I'm with you. Impact, have start a feud with Tennille Dashwood. I think that would be wicked.
Yeah. So, all right, here we go. We are doing ladies first, just out of respect, but here comes the big one that really was a heartbreaker.
What the hell?
Ruby Riott, Heidi Lovelace. It doesn't matter which way you want to look at it. This is a awesome talent. They broke up. Apparently what is happening with Tamina and Natalya was meant to be the Riot Squad's feud.
I'm not surprised. Like, Ruby Riott is, I don't care that she's a snooker. Ruby Riott can hold fire to Tamina all day long. Ruby Riott is an absolute talent. She's an amazing wrestler.
Do you know what else, right? Ruby not only was an amazing talent, Ruby was doing in-ring training because the Riot Squad became, honestly, they were like Shield level gold when it came to in-ring talent and 3 people working together. And I say that over flipping New Day. Like, they were over. They had it. And I'm not knocking New Day when I say that, but there was a mechanism when the Shield first started that I saw very similar in the Riot Squad. New Day were more management. These lot were doing 6 women tag matches and running it.
When they arrived, then they started kicking the shit out of everyone backstage. And what was great is that you had, Paige's stable over on Raw and these guys on SmackDown. It was like you had this duality between these two awesome female stables. WWE loves to break up their stables and tag teams, though.
Yeah, it was good to see them reunite the Riot Squad, though. I'll give them that. But here we go.
Reunite minus 1 member. Like, okay, so where would you see Ruby?
To be fair, she was pregnant, so you couldn't even call back Sarah Rowe.
Oh, I know. But where would you see Ruby?
This is the one. Now, Ruby's interesting. I see Ruby floating a lot. A bit of a Cardona, but actually just because she can cash in before going to AEW. I think you might even see her in New Japan. You'll see her do a couple of matches. She won't be contracted. Yeah. But I reckon she'll get the cash in because people will want her. And then she'll turn up it. And then that is the match. Ruby Riott versus your women's champ at AEW. Trust me, it's an instant money earner.
That's not where I see her initially. I think she's got to go straight to AEW. She doesn't need to build stock again. She's not building stock.
She's just cashing in while she can. Because
forget cashing in. Cash in with the big boys. Go straight to AEW. You know, if they said next week Dynamite, whoever, Vicky Guerrero comes out again and goes, and bam, Heidi's here. Watch the crowd pop.
For sure. She's got it. But you know, there guys like Cody.
Wait. Here's how you book Ruby before you put her with DMD. She comes in straight away against Thunder Rosa. Step aside. It'll be a match.
Ruby sadly, 90 days just denies that step aside moment that you're talking about.
30 day. Ruby's on a 30-day.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Ruby's on a 30-day. Ruby got the same deal as Andrade, 30-day no appearance.
Fair enough. That'll be all kinds of cool.
Yeah. All right. Next. I mean, I'm going to fire with this one. This guy needs to go to New Japan now. Buddy Murphy is made for New Japan. Can you imagine? Just here, let me pitch some matches to you. Can you imagine? I mean, the big one, obviously, against Okada, but you put Okada against anyone and it's going to be a golden match because Okada is just one of the best things in wrestling ever, right? But you imagine this guy against Will Ospreay.
The minute you said New Japan, I just thought him versus Ospreay. Like instantly, it just hit me. Like I was like, "Shit!" I didn't even think of that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think of that. It was weird. Do you know he's the one that I think you'll see signed to Impact, and people will be like, "Why is he not in AEW?" I think he will fall under the AEW radar, no matter how cool he is and awesome he is. I have that feeling that he'll fall under that radar. I don't know why.
Here's the thing. I think, especially when we're about to talk about the next guy, AEW are being very smart about their recruitment at the moment because this stupid soundbite that goes around going, AEW making the same mistakes as everyone else, like TNA and like WCW. Guys, no. It makes business sense that when you have a free agent who is going to add value to your business, you bring him in. I'm sorry. If Lionel Messi is available on a free and he's not going to have a £600,000 a week contract, every club in the world is going after him. I don't care if you're Chelsea, the Champions League winners, and you're trying to make room for this guy who's on the wrong side of 30. It's freaking Lionel Messi. You make room for him. Same thing here, right? Buddy Murphy, I don't think is a guy who they've got room for at the moment. I think Buddy Murphy going to New Japan, that's the best move for him.
Japan is an awesome product, but I think, with the highest respect, he could actually stay there for a while. A lot of guys have.
Yeah. I'm not saying go to Japan and then move. No, I see him in New Japan for a real long term.
You've actually swayed me. That would be an awesome.
I think he could honestly become one of their poster boys. You know that I'm not saying he's on Omega's level, but I'm saying he could be. He's got the talent if he applies himself over the long term. You know, embrace that culture the way Omega did. Why was Omega so loved in Japan? Because he learned Japanese. He got involved with the culture. He went to the sumo stables. He went to all of the different dojos. Omega bled Nippon, you know? If Buddy Murphy embraces that wrestling culture, I hate keep going back to football references. Dimitar Berbatov, this is a bit of an old school one. Awesome football. Never made it properly at Man U because he didn't embrace the Manchester United culture. And Rio Ferdinand called him out for that recently. You need to embrace that very, very, very unique culture if you go to New Japan. If Buddy Murphy goes in, you know, head first and embraces that culture, they could make a megastar out of him. Because the talent is there for all to see. This guy's not green. This guy's mustard. This guy needs to feud with the biggest, some of the best talent on the planet. Just because we don't talk about it enough, guys, because it's not televised enough, doesn't mean it ain't there.
I think for his skill, that would definitely be a nice. And there are some guys who've done that. They went to Japan and people can't. Yeah.
Jericho went to Japan and people started watching New Japan.
Yeah, but I'm talking like your AJs. I'm talking like your AJs, your Coles, your Kennys, your Bucks. Yeah, exactly. Prince Devitt. Finn Balor didn't start off over here. Nakamura, for fuck's sake. Like, some of the guys that we dreamed to see him feud with came from over there, and there was more of that talent over there.
Yeah.
That's not a bad shout. And you know what?
Buddy Murphy, long term at New Japan. I'm talking 5 years, maybe 10 years. I think he could do bits over there.
It's a good shout. That's a good shout. Right. It's tough to call on these two as to which one, but hey, let's go with this one because he's not been a champ.
Smells of AEW.
Tommy and whichever one you want to call it. Aleister Black. Freaking awesome talent. Just brought back to TV. Budget cuts killed it. And what I heard, I just loved. I think we could have seen a real turnaround. Bro, he smells of AEW. Him versus Kenny, just out of all match, if you're going to tell me anyone to face their champion, Aleister Black even supersedes the guy we're going to talk about last, who I think is a surefire AEW.
Can I raise you something, actually? Can I raise you something?
But hold on, I was going to say, but I think Japan could also do him a shorter stint than a Buddy, but I think
maybe a year in Japan, yeah, sure, just to get, but if anything, to get rid of the ring rust, because the guy hasn't been used properly in a year, poor guy. But you know who I see him having a mega feud against in AEW? It's not Kenny. It's Hangman Page. The match those two I can imagine having. He'd be the guy to come in and dethrone Hangman, who I maintain is going to beat Kenny for the title.
So that could come in because, a heel Tommy End can always work. I see him as the face because I think the fans would just be nuts shit. But essentially what I'm talking about is him versus a champ. So I'm just using him as current champ. And whoever would be, he is one of those things that sounds bad, but he has to kind of come in at the top.
Has to. You can't build this guy. He's built. He's one of the best in the world.
Yeah.
But Vince McMahon, I don't get it. How is it we, these two little plebs in London who don't have a fucking minutiae of intelligence on how to run a corporation on that scale, can see the talent on display, and this fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex doesn't get it?
Bro, do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? It's the same as trying to convince us that Fortnite is the fucking game of games to play. It's generational. It's sad that I say this with respect, and you may blur at it, but the great Vince McMahon is losing touch or has lost touch.
Losing? Yeah, let's go with the latter of those statements. He's lost touch. He belongs in an old person.
He's a good businessman, but he's made some bad business decisions and creative decisions. The creative side he needs to step away from. In terms of negotiating and what have you, he knows what he's doing. Yes, there's rumors. We might close it.
We'll talk about them in just a moment. We'll talk about them after the big guy.
This is it. But here we go.
Braun Strowman.
Let me tell you, when I sent this link over to you guys in our chat, it was 7 seconds fresh. I actually thought it was a joke. I had to do extensive research. I sent it because it had to be sent. But before it even went anywhere else, I was like, this has to be a joke. Braun, who literally bleeds WWE. Like, there wasn't, like, there's a video. And this is the thing, I've actually screenshot it, where he talks about going back on the road. He's also talked about never wanting to work for any other company. Like, Foley said it. Like,
he's the most WWE guy in recent memory, man.
If at 37 you want to retire and you're set for life, then all good. But if not, this guy is surefire AEW. That was Foley's words. Now, you called it, and it is the match of matches. Braun Strowman versus Lance Archer. Sometimes when you're of the same nature, you don't get the best matches. I always remember Sean saying him and Mr. Perfect couldn't quite gel. But I think these two can absolutely... I think what you want with these two is a no-holds-barred match, and they will just destroy the entire... Like, give these two a stampede match between the two of them and just watch them ruin the fucking building.
Yeah.
But
I'll go back to what I said earlier. Braun, when he started, he had that crazy athleticism that some of these big guys who come around have, and you just think, man, your size shouldn't move like that. Keith Lee being one of the more recent ones. Now, I'm not saying Braun Strowman's about to go and start doing those roundhouse kicks like Keith Lee was, but the guy could move, like the guy could shift. But what did WWE do to him? They put the shackles on. They stopped saying, get these hands. They started having him tag with 9-year-olds. They started having him play giant basses and screwing with Elias. They started making him go, choo-choo. They started creating the Strowman Express. They ruined one of the most bona fide big men they've possibly ever had. And it's madness. Braun Strowman is... He's a guy you could have built your company around. He just is. Instead, he could have been the next Brock Lesnar. Instead, you've made him the new Paul White.
Yeah, this is the sad thing. I've just sent you a picture to your phone, right? Have a look at that. This is him when he was doing... And there's a comment, and it will be up on the ministry page, guys. I should have put it here. I forgot we're going live this time, right? This is him on his video where he talks about it. This is on the 25th of May, so no one knew anything was going out. You can see Mark Henry laughing at the video, and do you see his reply?
Mm-hmm.
P.S. You got another one in you? I'd love to lock up with you in the Lone Star State. Mark Henry is all elite. Look out for that match. As you said earlier, he still has a few in the tank. Look out for that match.
And Mark Henry would be the perfect guy to just reinforce how good Strowman is and put him over that much more.
Yeah.
Do you know what Mark Henry could do for Braun, actually? He could reassert how good Strowman is. Because Mark Henry is one of those guys, he's one of those legends. He can take the loss and push the other guy over, and his stock doesn't go down because he's Mark Henry. Braun Strowman, you know what? Put over again. People need to move away from the Strowman Choo-Choo Express and be reminded of the hands.
You know, one of the things, and it hurts me because 2 out of 3 of these have gone. Do you remember when I talked about, and I've said it countless times, the big shows, the Mark Henrys, the Kanes, use these guys. You've got them under your contract. Use these guys to help push those guys, to educate them, give them that ring awareness. Not that Braun needed some bits because it started to devalue. And this is the problem. You fucked it, man. You fucked it with some guys. You've lost the talent who can work backstage, and you've lost the guys. You're losing the guys in ring. The women's division. The women's division is pissed right now. Good. WWE Tag's women division is finished.
You saw how Liv Morgan came out on SmackDown.
No, I haven't actually.
Wearing Ruby's attire.
Oh.
She's going to get in so much trouble for that.
No, bro. Vince stands at fucking Gorilla. There's no way it's not cleared. There's no way it's not cleared. It's just what it is. You're allowed to pay tribute. You're allowed to pay tribute.
I don't know. It looked very thrown on at the last minute. She had her attire and she just had Ruby's thing over her and then quickly took it off as she came on. I was like, that looks like it's been sneaked. I'm speculating here. It's just what it looked like.
Yeah. I think you're allowed to give the nod. It's like them commenting on the Facebooks and the socials. They're allowed to do certain things. It's a nod. It's probably the last time we'll see it, but it's a nod.
But here's just to emphasize that problem I was referencing before. How far from the tree the apple has fallen now. Aleister Black. I don't know how to use him. You're an idiot, but he's not made in your mold. Buddy Murphy, not made in your mold. You've never been good at pushing the women unless their name is Flair. Leave that to the NXT guys. Braun is literally a Vince McMahon wet dream. And even guys like that, he's unable to push. You can't. There's nothing to support anymore. There's no sense there.
The release, I think, is because they signed him in their talent hoarding and fear. They gave him a contract they couldn't keep up with. I don't know what they're... There's one speculation we're going to show in a second, but aside from that, I don't get what's going on in there. It actually had me worried for the company. I said it, like, what's going on?
You said it, and I'm going to poo-poo on that because they're a public limited company. They have to declare their profits on Wall Street. They have to openly declare to the shareholders what their revenue and earnings and baseline and profit are. All of this is public domain knowledge. You can jump on the Financial Times website now to see WWE's worth value. worth and market value. You can jump on the Financial Times now to see what their profit forecast is over the coming year and what their profit intake has been over the previous few years. It's public domain knowledge. It takes 5 seconds of research. These guys have got more money than God at the moment. Scrooge McDuck is looking at these guys and going, damn. Seriously, there is nothing wrong with that company financially. The only thing, you raise Braun's big money contract. This is what leads me to say this. Because the only reason you would get rid of, by the way, just for those listening on podcast, that was WWE, where Speculating is for sale. Much like the rest of the wrestling industry punditry world at the moment, we're jumping on the bandwagon too. Because frankly, it makes sense. It does not make sense to get rid of a guy who's so WWE, who's renegotiated a contract with you recently. And yeah, the only reason you would do that when you are making more money than God, because let's not forget, it's not just Peacock who they've got a couple of $1 billion deals with. It's Fox. It's the USA Network. These are all singular, individual, multi-billion dollar deals. Not million, billion. These guys are like having sex in money. Literally, they're making beds out of money. Heisenberg from Breaking Bad is going, these guys got some money, right? Seriously, their finance has never been healthier. So let's read through the bullshit that John Laurinaitis said. Due to budget cuts, it's not a budget cut. It's trying to make the company that much more enviable. You clear out your bottom line, your profit margin becomes that much more enviable. All of a sudden, you've gone from being valued at 4 billion to being valued at 20 billion. And the dinosaur can then retire happy. Not that he needs the money, but we're talking a world of millionaires and
I mean, if you're going to sell, you always go for the highest. It's just
of course.
And you set your kids for life because
they're not sad, but
no. What you're such a prick. Such a prick. It's weird because they say never, but when people were like, will Vince retire and hand it over to Shane? Will he hand it over to Steph? This guy is the one who's always been on record to say, you have to take this company from my cold dead hands. That is exactly his statement. And now you're looking at it and it's like, there's no smoke without fire. There are talks. There is something going on out there. This isn't the first time I've heard of WWE selling, but I've always kind of rubbished it. But I'm looking at the releases and I'm thinking, what is going on? Sorry, my eyes are still just looking at that for sale sign. And it's like,
all the sales talk in the past, I've never bought. Here, you can't ignore it. You cannot ignore it. I don't think it's going to happen in the coming weeks, but I do think it's happening this year. Honestly.
What I say to you, though, if it does, be prepared to see the beginning of the end of the WWE. And this is from Mr. WWE Bloodline. Because what happens is that they sell it, and yes, Triple H is still part of the company, or Paul Heyman is still part of the company, but then it doesn't have enough entertainment value for that company. We've seen the rise and fall of Impact when Anthem purchased it, and they don't understand it. It's not wrestling invested. You can see when Jeff Jarrett was in charge compared to when it wasn't Jeff Jarrett in charge. And you'll see that because Vince is not there, obviously Shane and Steph start to gradually fall out of place from on-air characters and advisors to nobodies and released. And obviously with that, Triple H goes, and then before you know it, you might even see Paul Levesque is all elite. That would be something, wouldn't it? But like all of these stuff start to fall out. Then Paul Heyman vanishes. And it's very entertainment-centric. And then the same stuff that you rubbish, and they start to bring in advisors. Before you know it, Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan will be there because those guys are always
Bischoff's there already. Bischoff's there already.
Where?
AEW.
He's not contracted. He does.
No, but he makes appearances. He's there.
No. But what I'm saying is that these are the people that will be signed to try and be the creatives behind WWE if Vince sells. These are the faces. I'm not talking on AEW front. I'm saying these will be the guys that are brought in because they know how to turn it around. Heyman will be gone faster than fuck. Do you know what I mean? This is all factual. Then you'll just start to see the talent pool dwindle.
I think
it will be the beginning of the end.
It all depends on who buys them. It all depends on who buys.
I
it.
say this from a Peacock relationship, NBC relationship, should I say, because they look like the front runners of potential candidates.
They have to be. I was thinking Disney, but you've got the difficulty then with Peacock owning them, and you can't have the network on a streaming service, which parent company has.
But then, bro, here comes the other stuff. How do you have like NBC, but then you've got Fox doing one show and this doing it? Like it does get technical if an actual TV brand buys it. But
that's fine. A TV, suppose you're right. Hadn't considered that.
This is where the challenges do come in, and it's.
Well, you can always buy someone out of a contract. Remember that.
You can do, but then bearing in mind, looking at the profit margin line, as you said, from a $5 billion to $20 billion company, to have to then make that purchase worth it, and then to buy someone out of the contract, you're talking huge money for an asset that you'd have to be fucking dead sure that you know how to manage.
How's this for an idea? WWE is All Elite.
I thought of that. I don't know. It has got the
money. Khan's got the money for it. That family have the money to buy Vince.
They've got the money. It would forever open the forbidden door completely.
Yeah,
that would be the forbidden
glorious new world. Glorious new world of wrestling.
Do you know what it is though? Yeah, I don't. That's where I draw the line on Vince's pride. Like, I don't know if he could ever be that. Bearing in mind as well, he took so much pride in being I now own WCW and all of that shit that happened. And the contract says McMahon, but Shane McMahon. Like, this is the problem. Would he ever be
a fucking pride of his? I hear you.
Yeah, bro.
That's what I would want to happen. The Forbidden Door actually buying and all wrestling in the world cross-promoting back and forth with each other. What a wonderful world that would be.
It is, but again, you need to know how to do it correctly. And I say it and I don't take it back. Vince had all of wrestling. He fucked up. AEW Impact isn't the best relationship. It can go wrong. I prefer different owners. As you said, all tides raise ships. It's a cool idea, but you need individual managers. Even fucking WWE itself shows that you need individual people running different shows because NXT is doing what it's doing. SmackDown's doing what it's doing. Guess what? Mr. Overseer of all is ruining his main flagship.
I think that would be a dream, to be honest. I don't think it will ever happen for the reasons you've just said. But I firmly believe I am not informed enough on the contracts that WWE hold with USA and Fox. I am pretty aware that those contracts could be bought out for the right price. And that would further reinforce why they're trying to clear their bottom line to make way for that having to be bought out. So it can all be sold as one package instead of being pulled in left, right, and center.
Bro, I'm not saying it's impossible, but the money you'd have to do for the buyouts, because these contracts are fairly fresh. The Fox and USA contracts are fairly fresh.
Yeah. No, we're talking billions here. We're talking billions. But then again, you're offsetting that, aren't you? Because if you can present to a buyer that, hey, we've cleared these contracts with Fox and USA Network, everything is going to be on the WWE Network now, which frankly is what makes the most sense. You just pay one price to have everything in one area, just like Disney Plus, right? Just like fucking Netflix. You know, if you're under that banner, you're in one place. You're not being pulled on different TV channels. It's stupidity, right? You just have the WWE Network. It's an app. Monday is Raw, Friday is SmackDown, Sundays are pay-per-views. Nothing changes. It's just all in one place.
Saying Sundays is a pay-per-view. Apparently, SummerSlam's a Saturday this year.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Right. Okay.
So we both believe it's up for sale. I hold my
reservations, but I'm paying attention to the noise. That's the way I'll say it. I'm paying attention to the noise.
I think they're building up for it, mate. They have to be. And I think we're going to be each weekend when we come back now to talk about the news. I think they're going to be keep hearing little rumors about this. It's going to build. Mm-hmm. There's no other rhyme or reason to it.
It's nuts. It's nuts. I don't know. WWE's over the years, when you watch some of their shit, it doesn't make sense. But this one it's the Strowman bit that really throws you. But hey, I don't know. I don't have the words. I actually do not have the words to answer this. I can't lie. I've never been as
confused. When you have more money than God, you don't make budget cuts. You don't. Not unless you're trying to clear your bottom line for a sale. There is no other reason.
We'll see. We'll see. As I said, I'm paying attention to the noise. I'm not swayed yet, just because I know the pride of that man from years of studying shit. But we'll see. We shall see. And to be fair, I do fear it's the end of the big boy that is WWE if they do sell. And that's why I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. There's a part of me that can't see it. Can't see it.
AEW to take its place.
Hey, new generation, new rules. Right. Yeah. That is the one. That is the one. Every dog has its day. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. To our viewers who have been catching us there, and those who will be watching it later on because it's there. And of course, to all of you who are catching it back on whatever podcast platform you're on, thank you very much. And guys, please, now that it's there, do like, comment, share, subscribe on your YouTube. Share it as hell because it's visual. You can talk wrestling. Once it's there and we have that set time, you guys can comment. We would love the interaction with you guys. We will be responding to any messages that come through on this. Guys, MOW News on Twitter. Ministry of Wrestling on Facebook. Well, you're watching it here on Facebook, potentially. Ministry of Wrestling on Instagram. Nico, what else are the Silver Screen Dudes up to? Please, sir.
The Silver Screen Dudes also host our Movie Mount Rushmore podcast. This is also available in audiovisual format on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page. It airs every single Monday. And you can also download all of our podcasts, The Ministry of Wrestling and the Movie Mount Rushmore, on, as you can see right above here, on Spotify, and all the links in the description below. We're everywhere. Deezer, Castbox, Google Podcasts, everywhere. All the links are down in the description below.
That's the one. Okay, guys, until next week, I am the one AJ Anthony Jordan.
I'm Nico Lero. Shout out to all my Nicoholics.
See ya.